because of the pain, I battle a little bit of energy depletion.
Yeah. Oh,
and
I'm sure.
because of the pain, I'm not sleeping as well as I could be.
Which is exactly what you need, sleep too. You need to
Yes,
rest.
exactly. And because of the pain, I don't always have that clear thought that I'm trying
Foggy
to put
brain.
that thought out. Right. But
Yeah.
the pain is yakking at me.
Yes.
So I really want to try this new performance method and technology to make my body heal itself.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, where we speak the language of cannabis freely and uncensored while educating our audience on safe use of this live plant therapy. You should know what's in your cannabis, what's good and what's not, because cannabis does not come with an FDA stamp of approval, yet. The information you will find here comes straight from scientists and clinicians doing the work and reporting their findings in reputable outlets. Hopefully, we can inspire you to research the facts as we know them today. Cannabis is an amazing alternative in health remedies, with the potential to alleviate typical disease problems and troubling side effects, even those caused by synthetic prescriptions. Here now is the host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast. She is a 21st century cannabis shaman, not a doctor, not a scientist. Raised by nuns and wolves in the verdant cattle pastures of the Oklahoma oil fields, here to amplify the truth of this great big story of cannabis in historical, political, scientific, and spiritual terms, so you can make educated decisions about the medicine you choose to ingest. Please welcome Honey Smith Walls.
I have such a treat for you all, my dear audience, today. Darling girlfriend Jackie Dickens Walker is here with me. You've heard me talk about her. You've heard me on her stage. You've heard this amazing forum that she has created for women, and that's what we're talking about today. Womaning 101 with Jackie Dickens Walker. Hi, darling. Thank you so much.
Honey, sweet honey. I'm looking for my fan and I don't see it, but I'm so happy to be here with you. You're so sweet like honey.
Oh, thank you. This has been an amazing journey for me personally over the last 6-7 months of coming into your circle of business sisters and us joining arms and collaborating, networking among the sisterhood of this amazing business academy that we're both in, Elizabeth Ocean's Holistic Business Academy.
Yes.
Let me say it correctly because it's so important. It has changed everything for me and my business. Elizabeth Ocean's Women's Holistic Business Academy.
Yes.
And I didn't realize until I began this academy the difference in language barrier between men and women, and how choosing to speak with women has become my mission.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier when we don't have the language barrier and the emotional barriers that we do when we're speaking with men. So it's just opened up a whole new freedom. But more than that, we've begun to see the importance of mentorship between women.
Yes.
And that's why I am here with you, because you are an amazing mentor to me and to so many women. It's powerful. It's the feelings that we get from being lifted as women is so powerful.
So powerful.
Tell us how you got into all of this, won't you, Jackie?
I tell you, I agree with you 100%. My business, Resilience Beyond Menopause, has elevated and up-leveled dramatically since getting in the arena, so to speak, or community of Elizabeth Ocean and her Women's Holistic Business Academy. And that's where I met you.
Yeah.
And
you stood out to me. It's not really a commercial for that. This is the honest to goddess's truth.
Absolutely.
About being a woman in business.
Especially online in a global presence, right? Because here I am in Maine. Well, I'm not in Maine now. I'm in Virginia. But no matter where I am, I'm still plugged in. And you're in Michigan,
Right.
and Sue's in Texas, and Carolina's down in Florida. We're just all over the place, but we are united together. We're working together, and it's a powerful, powerful thing.
The connection between us is so strong, so emotional, but it's built on months and months and months of seeing each other, working with each other, becoming to know each other and trust each other with our internal woman.
Yes.
That needs guidance, nurturing, information that's factual and uplifting to our business. And none of the BS and fear that goes along with all of that other stuff or lack of information.
Right.
We're getting the secrets by being together.
Yes. Yes. And there's no fire hose. You don't feel like you're getting doused with all of this. It's valuable information, but our absorption rate is only so high.
Right.
Up the brakes.
Right.
And then along with that fire hose feeling comes I'm not keeping up. Oh, I'm not keeping up with them. Oh, they're so much further ahead of me. And then you want to go hide. And before you know it, you're hiding for months and then 3 months. And it's stifling you. It's preventing you from moving forward. But in our community, we cry together. We laugh together. We encourage each other. We share vulnerable stories about, I didn't think that was going to be a good post. And I was thinking that might be a little too raw or something. And then I posted it and boom, that was my best one of the week, and things like that.
Yes.
Right.
Because we're connecting with women.
Yes.
Really, really deeply connecting at a space in their minds where they can relate to what we've been through and how we climbed up out of it. And why we feel so happy and joyful today.
Yes.
And how to get there.
Yes. And we have this excitement. We have this extra little spark to keep sharing it.
Yes.
And we share it and we're visible and we're out there and we're vulnerable.
Yeah.
But we're visible and people are hearing it and responding and they want some too, which is why we're talking to you.
Yeah, exactly. So that we can just spread the word a little more, use this podcast as a tool just to get it out there. And God, it's just so glorious to be in this position with other women. And, we all have different businesses. Yes. I'm in cannabis. You're in menopausal thinking and attitude, learning how to do all of that. Other people are into yoga, breath work, Reiki, footology.
Footology. I know what you're talking about.
Pat Bozeman.
Yeah.
Reflexology.
Reiki, reflexology. Yeah. And also unleashing the tongue. Being bold enough to speak when you feel like you're being silenced.
Yeah. Oh, and we did.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm being silenced anymore, but I surely did for most of my 70 years, probably 65 years, a little more. I felt like somebody was always up, standing up over me saying, shh, shut up. Yeah. Nobody cares about what you have to say.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. How many women have that voice in their head?
Yeah.
Right.
And that is an ancient voice from my little girl days.
Yes.
And
you're not alone.
My siblings telling me that, my siblings saying, oh, you're so stupid. Shut up, stupid.
Yes.
And it stayed with me.
Yes. Yes.
And we've just got to teach our children.
Yes. And we're sharing it. We're sharing it. We're getting out. We're being visible. And we're sharing the magic sauce.
Sharda Devi said something that just plowed through my heart one time. She said, words are spells. Otherwise, why would you call it spelling?
Oh, ho, 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 ho.
Hi, Honey Smith Walls here. I'm host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, weekly for the past 6 years. But today I'm inviting you to a Facebook group called the Holistic Relief Summit. in hopes that you too will come for the peace and stay for the epiphanies. It's a beautiful space for women to find all kinds of relief from all kinds of suffering. Come join us for free.
Well, hello, I'm Dr. Philip Blair, and I want to introduce you to Honey Smith Walls. And she recently had an experience with beta caryophyllene.
For years, I've been dealing with lots of arthritis pain and pain from neuropathy that has not been resolved through other prescriptive methods. As an advocate educator in the cannabis industry, I learn lots of interesting information about the compounds within the plants, and one of those turned out to be beta caryophyllene.
What was your first dose like?
I was gobsmacked, absolutely gobsmacked. It has given me my future back.
I want to get it out to everybody too. I want to get it out to the whole world, as a matter of fact. It has so many mitigating factors for all the stresses of life and pain and diseases. It is unbelievable, the spectrum of care that it can provide.
Sharda Devi said something that just plowed through my heart one time. She said, words are spells. Otherwise, why would you call it spelling?
Oh, ho, 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 ho.
Don't you
like
it?
and stones may break my bones,
Yes.
right? And so why were we so adamant to make sure that words didn't stifle or kill us, right?
Right,
Words were
right.
never. Why were we were so adamant about that? Because the power of words is so, especially the ones that we get in our head, right? The ones we tell ourselves.
There, yes. Humans are so creative. First of all, we've got, thousands and thousands and thousands of words in our mind that we've learned and have meaning and connotation. And then our imagination picks up all those words in different ways and throws them into different sentences and says, and we're like, what?
Right.
And that's the chaos and negative chatter going on in our mind that we've not yet learned how to quell.
Right.
But when you get into a network like we have,
yes,
of a sisterhood, of mentorship, you learn how to stop all of that.
Yes.
And I don't want the rest of the women on this planet to have to wait till they're 70 fucking years old to learn it.
No, nor do I. And, this reminds me of, I remember I think I was in Africa. Yeah, I was in Africa, and I was working, right? I was working in a unit, and we were supporting Navy SEAL teams that were out and going into different areas. And when we were having this, there was a time where you had to sit for like 4 or 5 hours and just wait to hear from the radio for information. And I was working on a quilt. And I would work on it in my CLU, my containerized living unit. It was a trailer that turned into like a tent. And when I would be at the office, which was not very many steps away. And so I said, well, I'll just bring what I'm working on because I'm going to be there. We don't know how long. And it sparked so much conversation. And one guy, I remember he said, my mom used to do this with her friends, and they all would have a piece, and everyone would stitch on the side, and and the quilt would grow, and pretty soon they'd be spread out because everyone's doing a little piece. And then in the end, there was this beautiful quilt that could keep somebody warm that we all had a part of building. And that's how I feel in our community. We've all got our little piece that we're contributing.
Yes.
And it is changing and having an impact on other women, whether they're hearing it in passing or they're jumping on board with us, or they're getting an actual transformation experience from a problem to a solution. Doesn't matter. It's all adding to it. And the one thing that we definitely have mastered is we don't compete with each other. We encourage each other. We don't backbite and claw. We strengthen and hold.
Right.
And and we're safe with one another. And
Yes.
it's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. Women are so vulnerable emotionally. And this container, this sisterhood, this network of women that we're talking about, especially the one that we're in,
Yes.
is so precious with our emotions. There's never any criticism.
Yep.
There may be, there's always love and understanding about your emotional stress or that you're going through from whatever issue you're working on. And that's business. It's always business. Or
Yes.
it may be personal.
Oh, it is personal too, right? But like when we're working on as speakers, because you and I are both speakers, and as speakers, we have a part of our talk that is our story. And when we're talking about our story, now, number one, at 70 and at 62, we have a lot of stories.
We got a lot. Yeah.
So sometimes it's a little bit like, oh, is this a good one? Oh, should I tell this one? Oh, is this a good one? But
because we change them.
Right. In the kindness of the community, even if you tell a story that doesn't really match up and you've given it your all, I mean, your tears are coming out and your heart is in it. There is a kind message that says, you know what, that's a beautiful story and thank you for sharing it. But it's probably not the right one. Now that could be taken as, I just gave my heart and my soul. But no, it's thank you. Because I could go on telling that
story.
For
the lesson.
Right. For a long time.
Thank you for
but
the
a
lesson.
little tweak, you've got another story. Find the other story. Get that story because when it lines up, it's going to be, it's just like if you've got a drain and it's plugged a little bit, you see the water going through, but if you can clear that plug, the water goes through really well.
I just did that a minute ago in the sink, in the kitchen sink. Jackie, won't you tell our audience a little bit of your, about you and your story, please, honey? I know they're dying to hear it now after you've, been so animated and precious and mentoring all of us. But tell us, give us a taste of your story, honey.
All right, let's go down story lane. All right, well, a little more about me. My name is Jackie Dickens Walker. I'm a motivational speaker. I am retired Navy with Army roots, and I pinch myself on that one because I returned to the Navy after being in the Army 17 years earlier at the age of 40. At the age of 40, I went back into the military. And I went another 16 years and was able to retire with a pension and medical for the rest of my life. That in itself is resilient and glorious.
It certainly is.
After retirement, I had life dealt me a pretty tough blow. My dear dad had to go in for heart surgery, and he had the heart surgery, and 6 months later, he left us. Now, at this time in my life, my health was not in a good place. I had gained about 40 pounds and 10 inches around my waist. And through the course of all of that grief and what I was going through, it was right after COVID. It was a lot of hard on, it was a lot of wear and tear. You know what I'm talking about. You all were there for COVID. And then throw in the loss of my dad. And I got to a point where I knew I needed to do something. I knew my blood pressure was out of whack. It was in the red every day. And I was checking it multiple times a day. And the doctors were wanting to prescribe me 3 or 4 different medications. And you know what that does? And in their words, oh, it's because you're getting older. It's, this is part of getting older. This is part of what you have to look forward to. I wasn't looking forward to it. Look what it got my dad.
Yep.
He was on medication his whole life to prevent what ended up killing him. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm not taking that route. So I really took the harness and the reins back to the trajectory of my health. And I started being very intentional with what I eat. I was very, very intentional to make sure that I hydrate on a regular basis. So hydrating and eating. And when I say intentional, I mean a good amount of protein, a good amount of healthy fats, a good amount of vegetables, nutrients, whole foods. When I did that, I would eat at different increments because I was doing a lot of research and studying. And this was about 3 years ago. So I've managed to maintain this weight loss of 38 pounds and 10 inches around my waist. And in doing that, I learned to hear signals from my body and then respond in like manner. And what I mean by that is, Western medicine loves to take those signals or those symptoms, that pain, and that's hard because many people are in chronic pain, and I hate that, and I want to change that. And I believe we are on the cusp of technology where that is happening at a rate that is exciting.
Really?
So instead of squelching those signals, we want to follow what's causing that. What is the body saying in that? What does it need? So in my quest to intentionally eat, also intentionally, food is medicine. And food comes in the form of food in your mouth, but also food in words, what you hear and what you think. So I'm intentional with what I eat. I'm intentional with what I think about myself and what I say to myself. As a matter of fact, when I go through those many mirrors that I run into from here or there, sometimes I'll be walking and I'll go forward and then I'll back up and say, "Hey, gorgeous, look at you. Fine, and like you're so fine, like a fine wine, getting better with age." Things like that. I'll say things like that.
Yes.
What does that do? That
Loving
sparks.
yourself. Yes.
Yeah. That sparks me and say, "Oh, she thinks I'm a fine wine getting better with age. I am getting better with age." And my body hears that and it responds in that manner. And if you do any research on the power of words, words are very powerful. And the third thing that I have embraced is the technology now that is changing lives at a rate that is unbelievable at best. Okay. It's patented in over 80 countries, and it's an amazing technology. It was developed, as a matter of fact, for the Navy SEALs. And it was developed because they were going on these 30 and 60-hour missions, and they were using highly caffeinated substances. They were using amphetamines. They were using medication to keep them hype so they could see, hear, and know for 30 or 60 hours straight. Well, that was running havoc on the teams. And there was an inventor.
Body couldn't
handle it. And there was an inventor that the Department of Defense knew was working on a technology that would tap into our stored energy. Our bodies store energy. And so he came up with what is looked at like a Band-Aid. And on the center of that Band-Aid, there are crystals, and it's a mesh that creates like a mirror. And that mirror, the heat of the body and the light in the heat hits that mirror and goes back in, and it sends a signal to our stored energy to release. Well, where does our body store energy? It stores energy in fat. Yes. So it would tap into the fat cells, and they were getting energy from their body. It was so successful that he created a company. And that was 20 years ago. Well, he further developed into what is now referred to, and this is the way it works. It's another type of Band-Aid that when it is put on your body, think about it like this. I grew up in Maine, you're in Michigan. During the winter, you get those winter blues. And what do you want to do? You want to go south so you can sit by the pool in your bikini and get as much sun on your skin, because when that sunlight and heat hits your skin, it triggers your body to make vitamin D. Well, that vitamin D also releases dopamine. And you get that, I feel good. So here, go with me here. Okay. The sun sends a light, hits the body, and that signals the body to make vitamin D and release dopamine. And we feel good. All right, now let's go back to this Band-Aid. Okay. The Band-Aid's like a mirror, and the light and the heat from our body hits the mirror on the Band-Aid, goes back in, and it signals the body to make copper peptides. Copper peptides are like water to a plant. And in our body, the plant is a plant that grows new, healthy cells. So when we put this Band-Aid on and that light signals our body to make copper peptides, this plant starts growing and releasing new cells. And they're a little maintenance team. And I call them the little fix-its. They go out and fix stuff. Now, everybody's bodies are different. So when you put them on, everyone experiences different things. And people like to, they always went, well, that didn't happen for me. But if you give it time and you get that little maintenance team going, they're going to go out and start fixing stuff. And the results that people are experiencing are across the gamut. I'm not a doctor. I'm not prescribing. I'm not a medical professional. But I'm telling you what I've seen and what I'm experiencing. And if you are interested, if something has sparked your interest in the holistic technology that's happening for many, many people, but we're not going to see it on the news. You're only going to see it if somebody tells you. And Honey is telling you right now by having me on this show. So if I've said anything that sparked your interest, you reach out to Honey in this podcast, and Honey knows what we're talking about, and we will get you more information.
That's right. Because technology is our friend, ladies.
Yes. That's how we're talking.
Education is power. Yes. Education is power. It will give you freedom and autonomy and change your life. Do not believe everything that you think. It just ain't true. Yes. You need to find the right information that's going to uplift your life and help pull you up out of whatever it is that you've got problems and issues with. This new technology is fascinating to me because I'm, just learning what's inside of me, both in my, my alien spirit and my human form. They both need different things, but they live together. And so it has to be a complement to each of them. This way of recreating energy and new cellular life in our body is a fantastic new piece of technology that we can utilize. So let me see if I've got it straight, because I'm going to jump into this. Yeah, I'm going to try this. I'm doing it to try to relieve the neuropathy in my fingers. Now, y'all know I've been talking about cannabis and a specific terpene that I love and still use and never want to give up because it does so many other things for me. Beta-caryophyllene, BCP is what I'm talking about, that one terpene, and it has helped me quell the majority of this neuropathy. I want to go a little further and see if I can get rid of all of it. My neuropathy was caused from an accident about 10 years ago, and it's been growing stronger and stronger and stronger with every year. So don't want that to keep happening.
No.
So, and I also battle, because of the pain, I battle a little bit of energy depletion. And because of the pain, I'm not sleeping as well as I could.
Which is exactly what you need, sleep too. Yes, you need to rest.
Exactly. And because of the pain, I don't always have that clear thought that I'm trying to get that thought out. Right. But the pain is yakking at me.
Yes.
So I really want to try this new performance method and technology to make my body heal itself.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Something also, Einstein, right? He was the inventor of relativity, right? We have a GPS because of him.
Yeah.
He died in 1955, but he was a genius. He saw things way ahead. A lot of the science that we have now, a lot of the technology that we have now, especially when it comes to energy and light, as a result of his initial research and inventions. He said, before he died in 1955, the future of medicine is energy.
That's right. He did say that. Mm-hmm. And old Joe Dispenza is into the medicine of energy too. And I listen to him quite frequently and how he talks about, changing what's inside of us through thought discipline, changing our health through thought discipline, manifesting what our needs are, through thought discipline. But that is a process too.
Yes.
And can take some time to get there. Yes. This will get us there a little bit faster, I'm thinking.
Yes, yes. Well, once the Band-Aids get put on and the maintenance team starts developing, it's basically, according to the inventor, you after about 12 hours, you get about 4,000 new cells. And we're made up of billions of cells, right?
Yeah.
So it takes time, but they go right out and they know what to do. They're created for one purpose, to go replace broken cells. And this type of cell can morph into whatever cell is needed, because we have internal organs, we have fluids, we have hair, we have fingers, we have arms, we have skin, we have all different types of cells, but this kind of cell can morph into whatever cells needed. So the people that are using this technology, the different things they're experiencing are across the gamut. We're talking Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and ADHD, all the way down to an irritation and a rash. So it's worth looking into, because these bodies know how to heal themselves. If given the right signal, they will do what they were designed to do, and that is heal and preserve. Lobsters never age, and that's what a lot of this research is designed after. Their bodies don't get older. Their bodies just remain steady and strong. They only die if we eat them or they get crushed. But they don't age. Their bodies don't age. Fascinating.
Absolutely fascinating science. Absolutely fascinating.
It's definitely worth looking into.
That's about mushrooms. You should not eat raw mushrooms ever, because they have the same compound in them that lobsters use to create their hard shell. And it doesn't digest. So you should always cook your mushrooms.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that weird?
Fascinating.
Well, he said science and new
I do too. Oh my gosh. He also said there's a type of ant that doesn't age, which doesn't, ants are fascinating. I used to watch them when I was a little girl, and I would just say, look at them. They're all running around building, and then they make this little mound. And I just thought they were fascinating. And I would worry about them when we mowed the lawn.
Oh, yeah. Precious. Gosh. Honey, how can our listeners get in touch with you to hear more about this product?
Just reach out to Honey, and we'll hook up. Get on Honey's calendar and let her know that you want more information, and we'll give you more information.
Thank you. That's so easy. Get in touch with me and talk to me about this new technology. What do we call it?
Well, it's X39 is the name of it.
Oh, geez, a science techie name, X39. I bet a guy came up with that.
Yeah, he's a lovely scientist. I love hearing him talk.
Yeah.
He has so much passion for humanity as a whole.
What I'm so glad you said that out loud. I run in science circles. I'm not a scientist, doctor, or medical professional, but in the cannabis industry, I have chosen my tribe to be the science tribe. Mm-hmm. And so I talk to all these doctors and nurses and, specialists and scientists all the time. And I agree with you 1,000%. They are so kind. They're just trying to help find solutions to help humanity.
Yeah, so many people are in pain. You know better than I do. Yeah. It breaks my heart, and I'm determined to make a difference. And that just keeps me going.
Me too, honey. Me too. I love you so much, Jackie Dickens Walker. Thank you for gracing my show. It's so wonderful to have you and talk about new science stuffy. And wow, honey, I'll see you on stage and probably, on the texting machine thingy and all over the place. I just love you so much.
But we're going to break bread soon.
We are. Yeah, we surely will. And will you come back and tell us, did you say you're going to Africa? Somebody's going to Africa.
Actually, well, no, I was stationed in Africa.
You're stationed in Africa. That's what it was. Oh,
Yeah.
I know who it was. It was Sue Bradley talking this morning that she's had an invitation to go to Africa.
It's Sue.
Yeah. And
on her live?
Yeah. And she's going to go down and teach in Africa for a minute.
Oh, God bless America.
And so that's me to think of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I gotta watch that. I saw that she had one. Yeah.
Again, this is women reaching out, networking among sisterhoods, and Sue lives in Texas.
I know, and she's in our inner circle.
She's going to Africa to teach.
Yes,
I just love that.
Yes.
All right, honey. Well, thank you again. I love you so much, and I'll see you soon.
Kisses. Okay.
Take care.
You've been listening to another Cannabis Truth Podcast with 21st century cannabis shaman Honey Smith Walls. Using cannabis mindfully as medication is a different concept in Western healthcare philosophy, specifically over the past century. There's a lot to learn and reconsider. The scientific truth of cannabis is finally getting out and is wide open for all to see at respected medical sites like the National Library of Medicine at pubmed.gov and the Journal of American Medical Association at JAMAnetwork.com. We here at the Cannabis Truth Podcast are right there in the thick of it, alongside the titans of medicine, as a fly on the wall. We are not doctors, nor did we go to medical school, but we have taken dozens of private cannabis courses and still engage in continuing education offered by expert cannabis scientists. Over the past few years, we slowly began to see and understand the bigger picture. Now we hear from people all day long about cannabis. It is so important to use verifiably safe products. The process of getting a diagnosis from your family doctor and taking your records to a cannabis specialist can lead you to the correct cannabinoid therapy for your specific issues. Otherwise, you're simply your own guinea pig looking for answers without the foundational knowledge or ability to determine your best strategy. To find a qualified cannabis expert in your area, visit cannabisclinicians.org. This is a national society of cannabis experts. Look for the link in the show notes. Unless otherwise proven by a reputable third-party lab test, please regard all street weed as contaminated. It may do grave harm to a patient with a delicate immune system who already has inflammatory issues like arthritis, IBS, fibromyalgia, or worse. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you find value and understanding through the conversations you've heard on this podcast.